다 간제의 종. 네. 포모게요 상황 파리치와 그다지 런던으로 보시 되게 들으지래. 들으지 손상 근데 데이터 잭슨가 저 망치베게다 데이터 위치 에네 토로야 여러 손상 얘네 데이터 위치 레히스 시험이나 패도야 지체와레 사마르시.
And so this is a very, very common, very famous prayer, which, in the lands of Tibet, is something which is recited from memory by people from all walks of life, young and old, male and female, literate and illiterate, regardless of where they, of what type of person or age and so forth, that it's something that most people have memorized and recite from memory. So because it's such a commonly recited prayer, it's such a, renowned and well-known prayer, I thought it'd be helpful to give some explanation to those words.
디마세 다팅 다당가란 주베 에마가이 그르주레 다팅 성가란 주데니 다자가나 데니피제레 다타카사 칼다 티쿠주지 파 이결제제 데네 가사가라 진짜베지다 데네 제군지지 니엘라와 시엘라보제 자기어레스.
And so not only that, but these people from the Himalayan regions have made it all over into India and other parts of the world. And also this prayer has been translated into many languages throughout the world. And because it's such a convenient and easy to understand prayer, it's quite helpful to know it. It's quite convenient.
니갑지 동하다 에네 타도고 다지 것에 에네 니갑지 다지 기관지에 들어라서 봐 니갑지 동하다 키워다 타도고 되네 다 소고 동하라서 건도나 당아서 동하다 담지 셔다 네 대나인게 에니지 에네 다 머더비 동하다 담지 셔다 되네 더더 삼반도야 어다 되지레스.
And so what is the point of this? Or what is it that we're actually, praying for? So we have, we're praying for the pacification of the immediate kinds of sufferings and dangerous situations that are often listed off as the 8 or 16 fears or 8 or 16 dangers, as well as what we might call the more long-term ultimate sufferings of the existence in the lower realms. And so we're praying to eliminate or pacify all of those more immediate or long-term types of sufferings, as well as wishing for the accomplishment of things. So not only to eliminate things that we want to avoid or that we don't wish for, but also to accomplish or to attain the things that we do desire.
강래 세다 강래 세다 소와다 비요르데 아니다 아니 고르는 뭐지 아니다 때나기 올게 아니다 코 되니베르게서 아니 다 칸로게 초당 제가 때다데레스.
And so who is it that we are praying to? So we're praying to Guru Rinpoche, together with this ocean-like host of dakinis who accompany him.
And data we get any mixed chick any Tangura Rumboche dating also Sanje Tamkela any Tokieta any Tena Ying Tenita any 제게다지 가서 생계 단다라다 때는 제와제다 생계 탐지라다 고도 뭐 공개서 양이요 말에 탐지들이 직관적으로 시작하고요.
나
사기 탐지 다 생계 탐지기도 근데 공부하는 직관적으로 시작해요.
And so particularly Guru Rinpoche is the Sanjay Tamjig Tujigi.
투지를 탐지라 아니 생계 탐지를 기타는 다시 any Mingyatang, Sanjatam Pilati, Kumante, Chibayores.
So just generally speaking, then Guru Rinpoche is fully enlightened Buddha, and the enlightened intention, the bodhicitta intention of wishing for the benefit of all sentient beings, is something which is the same amongst all Buddhas. It's not as if there are no Buddhas who do not have love for all beings or compassion or this bodhicitta intention towards all beings.
Yinayang ta tigi nang mixer chik Guru Rinpoche de tene jer tene ngara so tingi ning mak kapsa ene ta ene tene gus ta per ta ting sang ta chi ngara so ma tu tene la tene mixer ki ta Guru Rinpoche ke tam jar na shari na tene per ta tu so tene chi ta na ta per mo ba tene ta ta ting ngara so ku ka tene chi na tene rang Guru Rinpoche rang so ma ta ba ina tene kong pe ene samdo trubyato parche sayak tene kong chi ene tene tam je zeba misa sharji ye ba tene ki ta te song bang tene sanje yele ja tene la bo da ta ta gi ngara so ku tu da ka ta tene la ta sanje yele ja tu je da tene ta por de tene nyo wa yin sang tene la ta misa tene ta
So, however, even though all of those, Buddha's enlightened intent and bodhicitta is the same, particularly Guru Rinpoche made these special aspirations, made these special commitments that at these particularly bad times, what we call the times of the degenerations, that Guru Rinpoche made particular pledges to come and to work for beings in those times, and made this particular pledge that when beings of these degenerate times, such as our times, supplicated to him, that he would eliminate their obstacles and accomplish all of their wishes. And so Guru Rinpoche made these particular commitments or particular pledges to enact his enlightened activities in these, these times, these bad times or times of degeneration, such as these. And so even though all of the Buddhas are equal in their enlightened intent and so forth, in these destitute times, it said that Guru Rinpoche is even more, his activities, his enlightened activities, work even more efficiently or even more quick, and his compassionate intention ripens more quickly in these degenerate times. And so that's the particular reason why we might want to pray for Guru Rinpoche, and the particular reason for teaching this prayer today. And the first line of this prayer is particularly connected with Guru Rinpoche's biography. So that first verse reads, Emaho, in the heart of a blossoming lotus upon the waters of a lake. You're the deity who is the spontaneous presence of the five kayas and wisdoms. O great naturally arisen Pema Yapyum, surrounded by clouds of dakinis, to you we pray. Grant your blessings so that all our wishes be quickly fulfilled. So first off, the expression emaho means it is wondrous, it's amazing.
Tulku Sang-ngag Rinpoche Longchen Sang-ngag Rinpoche Wangguo Tulku Sang-ngag Rinpoche Gazhu Zai Gazhu Zai Ta ngaram zu pena ta Zambolenge Sang-ngag Temba Jig Tarwata, Sungjuk Zayata, Double Jig Maranzu, Growing.
Jigme is taking something. That's
Sanjiki Dempa Tar Sunjo Chase.
Temba, then this chair get shadows, then it makes it up and it makes it this chair, the Sanjay Tam, the Kumba, which take to the chair. And this Sanjay or Barmelma, any Shinja Lapsage to see nowadays.
The group Shigi Chuku Sanjay Kamchila Chinam Chase.
Chuku Sanjay Tam,
Gurum Shela Chase.
that almost Chilabin to the Chuku Sanjay Tam, the Chila. Then Longu Sanjay Tam, the one goes. Then Tulku Sang-ngag Rinpoche got Rigdzin. And it time did that Sanjay or Barmel, then it hung around so much mistake. Then it does a long bend of non finishing love to Sanjay or Barmel of difference.
Tadi Abraham goes to the Chinap Chase of the
Gurum
Gurum Shela.
Then Guru was a
Jinjila.
Gurum Shela Chinjala.
All the
that's
Dharmakaya. All Dharmakaya Buddhists blessed
Gurum Shela.
Gurumishi, yeah.
Okay, so all of the Dharmakaya Buddhas, they blessed Guru Rinpoche. All the Sambhogakaya Buddhas, they granted him empowerment.
Discussed. They discussed so that they want to say Guru Rinpoche's emanation.
Okay, and so then all of the Nirmanakaya Buddhas discussed sending Guru Rinpoche to the world for this particular time in order to spread the teachings and in order to protect those teachings. And so then the Ani Opa Mela Kandechi
Yeah, ultra mineral. Ultra is talk is my Pajula. This change is always and talk change.
Ani Kadechi.
That's what the name happened is that there is just no was any Yetam take it up and Donata to get Singlam the bottom to town to Jenny. And it that any Jodewajin Singam, no one tie, and it's not yet no one tie. Tama any combat what the pate. And it's not yet no one tie, any time I so good to Bunny. You get shake number here to project Jenny. And it does send the jam so now the Dungeon Pama with the gentle Majova. Any bear anything at that to you told any go to my yes and
And so then all of these enlightened intent, all of the blessings and power of all the Buddhas were then all contained and bestowed upon or sent to, focused upon the heart of Amitabha Buddha in the Western Pure Land of Sukhavati. And so then from the heart of Buddha Amitabha emanated this syllable Shri. And that syllable Shri descended into that lake. And then Guru Rinpoche was born from there without relying upon the ordinary way of birth of being born through the substances of the joining of the father and mother, but spontaneously was born into that lake. And so that's what's stated at the beginning of the prayer, the spontaneous accomplishment of all wishes, which is that this powerful emanation comes of Guru Rinpoche, comes from that Western Pure Land, from Amitabha, to come to work for the benefit of beings now. And so, then with that prayer, may you spontaneously fulfill all of our wishes.
Ini 다 라고도 지금가라서 애니 다 등에 힘을 공게 양거로 무슨 선다 사람들은 등에 힘을 타는 거죠. 가르쳐 다 힘을 얻어도 값도 라고도 지 두개당 되네 지금 다제 라고도 지 요로 애니 되듯이 사제 랑게양 되듯이 롱타이가 그렇지레스.
And then also in that same prayer, the spontaneous fulfillment of all wishes, then it talks about how Guru Rinpoche has this particularly specific enlightened intent to benefit beings in these bad times, the times of the 5 degenerations, and that the Buddha had prophesied that the Guru Rinpoche would have this particular power in this time of degeneration.
그래서 그때 사제 시대도 봤다. 애니 다 변형에는 다르듯 되네 개념이 준다. 야 소라답지. 되네 책에 상지 시대도 봐 책에 다다. 애니 다 뭐마다다 상지 때문에 장이 장도 봐. 달로야 농배지 나요래. 대양 다다 베토마도 되네 상하게 때문에 되네 다당가서 애니 마음범 중요한 롱지 때문에 대양 되네자 전에 제 마송다 대서도 비트네 말아주다 술을 해왔지 보래서 값이야 슈드 값은 되네 다 애니 마음범 되네 직전에 코나 양에는 대차비 값은 되네 말에 사귀게 되네 직와서 지와 빼만 중에 시비게 되네 상하 떨마시는 거래서 근데 되게 다 얘네 대탐지기 때문에 때마다 얘네 장도 걸려있나요? 상하게 때마이나요? 다들 소소만 중요하게 디스케이션을 농단지는 그래서.
And so then, as for those prophecies, when the Buddha Shakyamuni was passing into Mahaparinirvana, there was one fully ordained monk there named Tsunde. And so that monk then was requesting to the Buddha. He said that there was a prophecy from the past that said that the teachings would spread more and more further in the northern direction, and that did not happen in your lifetime. And also that there was other prophecies that the Vajrayana, the tantric teachings, would increase and spread, and that also didn't happen in your lifetime. So now that you're passing into parinirvana, who should we put our hopes to? Who should we put our hopes into for that? And the Buddha said that after I've passed away, that there will come another teacher, another Buddha, another teacher named the one who has arisen from the lotus, Pema Jigme. And he will be a teacher of the secret mantra teachings, of the Vajrayana teachings, and he will be even more supreme to me, even more powerful than me, and he will then bring those prophecies to truth to fruition of the teachings moving to the north and the secret mantra teachings, the Vajrayana teachings spreading.
나서 비리송당 드니티라다 이모 수익에서를 비미 정보라 생인데 다 담보되게 되니 좀 어떤 거를 뭐지 애니 총이다 총마다 내가 로지도 된 거래 기타한 거를 뭐지 선대용라 지금 선대고 나나 어제 연결을 그냥 빼막해서 동보라 얌생 죽음을 빼만 중에 시스라
And so this is in that very first line that reads Emaho in the heart of a blossoming lotus upon the waters of the lake. Then that line is pointing out the history or the story of Guru Rinpoche's birth. And so in the most also in the most common prayer to Guru Rinpoche, the 7-line prayer, it says, Guru Rinpoche, who's on the blossoming stem of a lotus, you're surrounded by a retinue of dakinis, and you're renowned as the lotus born, and so forth. So that's the same as what's shown in this first line here. So that's just the general explanation of that.
다 라포르도 되는 것도 되니 되니 답변은 에네 강들 줄비게 남들 되니 지 생제 문라바가 나오는 남바타 대비 나오는 문라바 근데 되는 시기는 말로 좁변에 에네 그러니까 프로바 장매비게 보내든 프로베탄 양반 되지 나온다 시야바이는 되지 레스.
So that was just a general explanation, but on the inner explanation, then we say that in his Dharmakaya state, then Guru Rinpoche is the Buddha Amitabha, and in his emanation as a Sambhogakaya is the powerful Lord Avalokiteshvara. And then in the Nirmanakaya form, that can manifest in any different type of emanation in order whatever is necessary for taming beings. Then there is this, Nirmanakaya emanation of Guru Rinpoche, which can appear in any various types of form in order to tame beings. And so then to summarize that, then Guru Rinpoche is the complete embodiment of the three kayas, the three enlightened forms of the Buddhas, and is the, as it says here, you're the deity who is the spontaneous presence of the five kayas and wisdoms. And so in the secret way of talking about Guru Rinpoche then, as it said in Jigme Lingpa's prayer to Guru Rinpoche, may I directly meet with, may I have a direct vision of or a direct meeting with the eight Guru Rinpoches of the self-existing pure awareness in my own individual experience of the copper-colored mountain. And so Guru Rinpoche in that secret level then is the bare or naked, pure awareness, emptiness. And so then similar to what's stated in the surrounded by clouds of dakinis, and just like in the seven-line prayer that you're surrounded by a great host of dakinis, then on the outer level, then there's this outer emanation of Guru Rinpoche who's surrounded by all of the dakas and dakinis of the 24 and 32 holy places, together with all of the Yidam deities, protectors, and so forth. Mahobi Sanje Tamjeji, any tang around to pay any Gumba, Tati Sanje Tam, Jeta, Kishin of Jigda, Dujaba. Dona Tennis Sanje Tamjeta, and then like a Lama Yada Kando, Dona Jamni Malipa Tamji, Detabachik, Yabares. And then on an inner level, then Guru Rinpoche is, as is stated in the prayer of Chogyam Lingpa and Jangin Khyentse Wambo of the Dusum Sangye, the 3 times Guru, the Guru of the 3 times, where it says Guru Rinpoche, the Buddha of the 3 times. I don't have an English translation of this on the top of my head, but anyway, in that prayer, it's saying that Guru Rinpoche is the Buddha of the 3 times. And so he is the regent of the past Buddhas. He is the enlightened intent, which will give birth to the future Buddhas. And he is the complete embodiment, the singular embodiment of all of the enlightened intent and bodhicitta intention and blessings of all the present Buddhas. And so Guru Rinpoche is the complete embodiment of all objects of refuge, of all the Buddhas, all yidams, all protectors, and so forth.
다 너는 되는 거를 묻지 때 되는 거랑 저게 장이 군두 가르스 차면서 되는 제다 거대 당가랑 산지 두비게 남바지 지는데 당가랑 소대 다 대봐 이제 소수 비지 뭐바다 상대 나 두번 거를 제라 속고 따봐 내 내가 속고 따봐 내 때나 얘는 남들 쭉 섬라 속고 따봐 나 속고 나와대 나가 속고대 내 그걸 돼요.
And so how is it that Guru Rinpoche is the complete embodiment of all objects of refuge? And so, Guru Rinpoche's body, his physical emanation is the Nirmanakaya. And so that can appear in various different ways according to the individual inclinations and necessities of different sentient beings. And that can appear, for example, like we have the 8 emanations of Guru Rinpoche, the 8 classes of the Totrengs, the 13 different emanations, and so forth. And then similarly, Guru Rinpoche's speech also tames in any way necessary. It is the emanation of the Sambhogakaya forms of all the Buddhas, and then explains the teachings according to any of the 9 vehicles, depending on what's necessary for training the individual. And so then Guru Rinpoche's enlightened mind then is the Dharmakaya. And it is like I said in the quote, although your mind is indivisible like space, from there comes such and such. So anyway, Guru Rinpoche's mind is that enlightened mind, which is indivisible from the enlightened mind of all Buddhas, which is Dharmakaya. And so then continuing onwards, Guru Rinpoche's body is the Sangha, his speech is the Dharma, and his enlightened mind is the Buddha. So also the 3 jewels are also completely contained within Guru Rinpoche. And similarly, in the same way, then Guru Rinpoche's body is the Lama, his speech is the chosen deity, the Yidam, and his enlightened mind from the perspective or in the aspect of the indivisibility of bliss and emptiness is the Daikini. So Guru Rinpoche is also the complete embodiment of the 3 roots. And then similarly, from the perspective of Guru Rinpoche's enlightened qualities, he is a wealth deity. From the perspective of his enlightened activities, he's a Dharma protector.
origin Zambala, any Guru Renato de la Soba Tava, any young around Soba, any Nola, Dan Nola down, any time Jigmajo, then I get that number than the
So, like for example, the way the Guru Rinpoche's enlightened qualities are the wealth deity, we can see in the emanations of Guru Rinpoche as Organ Zambala and Organ Ratnatutrain, that and also Terda. No.
That tell us open up on a
he appears in all of these forms, including the Pema Jopo, the Lotus King, and the Terdak, and so forth. So in various forms as a wealth deity.
Then I get any checking around the any Jungut holders in the young around so better any any Trabuka number. Like what do the death get a origin lesson debut? Origin to pass another sober tower. Any young lads of any Rigida, any Chujong, da Rabjam Tamchi, and the young Jamon was that discharge had yours.
Similarly, with Guru Rinpoche appearing as a Dharma protector, so Guru Rinpoche appears in various fierce or wrathful forms, such as the 8 classes of the Thasin, and the Guru Rinpoche, the protector called Tekpa Zilnun, who suppresses or overwhelms all the arrogant ones. And so then Guru Rinpoche is the king of the host of infinite Dharma protectors.
All of the time, around the Tato one the Java in the Karasa Guru Rinpoche, any around the any Guru Rinpoche, any Sanji. No, Nisumeva, Benetta, and I give Sanji, Guru Rinpoche, the Togo, only be chatting, Chugo. Any rangi or service chatting longer. 통계 끊자고 차는 그렇게는 너는 다 짬님 탐지 그러는 거지 찍라 너도 요래 만들어 책양요 말했어.
And so ultimately speaking, Guru is indivisible from the Buddha Amitabha, and it's the essence of that enlightened mind is that empty aspect of Dharmakaya, the utter luminosity of Sambhogakaya, and the power to emanate in any different way of Nirmanakaya. And so the Buddha, Guru Rinpoche, is the complete embodiment of that. And there are no aspects of enlightenment or no aspects of Buddhahood which are not complete within him.
Any Narup Sanji Tamkin Rup, Nantong Sanji Tamkin Pong, Man Sanji Kundu in Guru Ranga, Sharji here.
And so then Guru Rinpoche also, proclaimed that about himself, or confessed that about himself, that that when in some of his discussions, question and answer periods with the King Chisun Detsen and with Kandra Yishitsogyal, then he said all of that which was accomplished in the past by the Buddhas, I have also accomplished. Everything that they saw, I have seen, and so forth. And then we also have proof. We also have proof of the unceasing and continuous stream of Guru Rinpoche's activities and blessings, which distinguish him from others, from other Buddhas.
Oh yeah, that day I'm standing around so that Lingpa, and then they have that will gear up Namtarkis on the Nana today for rest. Any Koyatro, Guru Rinpoche tree, and the Koyat, the name not so Sunday, long dance yours. To read it up, cup read it up, Any pen Kangza Rere, that ticket cups of them by a chanting carry over. Take it all at any better just any, any better just any, then by Zimbicate anything out of you carry away. Take it cups of any tattoos, put a long band, then it song with this of the page. Got the big. That should that talk about that Yat Zabjila Suba, Jun Machiva Choyos.
And so, like in the Terten Chogyur Lingpa's supplication prayer, which is a supplication to the to Guru Rinpoche by way of discussing his enlightened biography, then he talks about how Guru Rinpoche prophesized all of his regions. So, in terms of his physical regions, like what teachers or what lineage holders will come in the future, at what time, under what conditions will those beings come? And then the regions of his speech, he concealed and placed all of those teachings as treasures and prophesied, which of these teachers would reveal those teachings at what time and so forth. And so, and there has been this unceasing stream of the 108 great Tertens and so forth, which is continuing all the way up to now.
Then took the Gomwali Temple of the Second Guru Mojela touching around over any solar tab that way. Guru Mojela, without the name from the way. That comes out of Sotamjela. The name Donatan Guru Mojek. Any Sharte, Caressa. That Koyu Sharte Bata. Any long time batang, Singela Bala Sopa, Tata Yong.
And similarly, in the other prayers, it says that, Guru Rinpoche focused his enlightened intent upon those beings who have the correct, like karmic propensity to be with him or to be his disciple. And so even now, continuing up to now, there are, a continuous stream of beings, of practitioners who are, through the power of their prayer and devotion to Guru Rinpoche, they still have, they're directly able to meet with Guru Rinpoche, see him, receive his blessings and prophecies. And so there are lots of other, Buddhas and lots of other lamas and so forth, but there have been none who were, acted in the same way as Guru Rinpoche.
That means they get that around to the chick and then Guru Rinpoche get the long man. I know that's what that some comes. Any chick to any minute Tala. Any chapter is a Yana Monkey Bay, so that Alangara to Tinal and Jigme to get the Tinal song once of them. Any that chapter is a Yanaman to 2 years on Hingoro in somewhere that is chick. Any I call to the chick. To any Tara, they didn't go to Rinpoche. Check it in it, how quick it is, so check that average.
And so, particularly, Guru Rinpoche, his activities are particularly prophesized to be particularly powerful now in these times of degenerations. And so, like Jigme Lingpa said, there's no one else who I can rely upon, no one else who I can put my hopes in other than you, Lord Odhyana, Lord Guru Rinpoche. So it's like that.
Well, that is all that Guru Gitleting, Tangara over Penna, Madam Munda Sopitse, Munda Tabitse, any, that Sama Demba, Madam Bar, someone like it, Guru Rinpoche, Puji Trinity, Lakor Dutania, Puji Singla, well, they young children royal, children royal, your way of matters.
And then Guru Rinpoche's enlightened activities, they say that when the times of degeneration, the dark times have become enveloped in darkness, then the Vajrayana teachings will blaze forth like fire. And so the bodhicitta intent, the compassionate enlightened mind and activities of Guru Rinpoche will only become more powerful in these degenerate times. And it's not as if they will decline because of these degenerate times.
Only that page I can attend Guru Rinpoche, Shinja Lapshawa, Guru Rinpoche, any Tanga to check, Jasapso, 되는 배우기서는 톡대야 톡대 공부하기 기술성이 뭐 빼는다 다들 두껍다고 결 차이가 나는 저 얘네 뭐만 야다 captain 요런 뭐지 일을 해도지 anything consider 뭐지 도저히 참 대나겠다 나라 좀 캠보 Jigme Penso, Dene Tenagita, any Campo, Achola Supatawa. In Sanga Capso in a Dapena Cesare, any Tata, any Teatabutan, Tataya, then Mamboji shoulders to Asan, Mochila Supatawa, Mamboji, would be Jessica.
And so Guru Rinpoche also has many regents who are still coming today. If we think of recent times, we can think of Dujam Rinpoche, we can think of Vajradhara Dokhyentse Rinpoche, we can think of Khenpo Jigme Phuntsal Rinpoche, Khenpo Achu, and even now there are still many, of these regions of Guru Rinpoche, like Tulku Asang Rinpoche, and so forth.
Then Tadi Gavian, then Tetanda, they shoot and then Tada was in the Taro Poet, so Tadayam Mamboji Young Yimare to us, then Chia to Hako.
And so these days, even now, in Tibet and so forth, there are still many of these treasure teachings being revealed. There are active tertans, treasure revealers right now. I think you probably know about that.
And then I choose the Tanga to the Saha, Sanga Viking, Lakordo, Sanga Dorjetipa. Goes to the Neta Zoquachimbu, Tadoyan. Senka Manyamba. Any da de la Caresagoro, any Tamserji, Ya Magulbak, Axe, Tachi Monsuga, Tada, Sanga Kapsoya Chief, any Jelly dropping at the top and job Juma Chiba here the young the was. Any packages of Jelly drops over, anything like any Caresagoro. Karsa Kembo Acho been a little chance thanks to then it then I get that been a true Oji Chimjo Tower. Then it Tata Tendra open a Tata Mambuji, Jun Machiba, Tata and Jalus and Rojima Tesoga, that Kare Tango Resena, Guru get any chigmas, song Tenaya, no Ameba. Samu get up, Guru Rumboji, any Shinglab down. Then it there shoot as what I'm young Nyamba Meba. Tata Subidrona, Nika with Mozam Canada, Mutual. In it taking Richard and Sanjus and Roding air, the Mantua that sort of didn't, that actually what you do to the rest.
And so there are even still, manifest signs that the power of blessings of the Vajrayana in general, and specifically or particularly the teachings of and the realization teachings of the great perfection of Dzogchen have not declined, and that the Samaya commitments, the sacred commitments of Samaya, have not been stained or tarnished. And the signs of that are that there are still beings to this day, an unceasing, continuous stream of beings who are still accomplishing these high states, such as the rainbow body. And so, like, for example, Khenpo Achu, his body dissolved into particles, and Urgyen Chimcho Rinpoche, and so forth. There are many, an unceasing, continuous stream of beings who are still, up to now, still continuing to attain these states. And so what is it that they relied upon to attain those states? It was the undeceptive teachings of Guru Rinpoche, the treasure teachings with this powerful blessing which has not declined coming from Guru Rinpoche. So, whoever were to put that into practice can attain the common attainments and as well as attain full enlightenment in one lifetime in this very body. And most of the people who are reaching those types of levels of attainment are all following these teachings of Guru Rinpoche.
Da ini niba de da kang de nonam da kan so wa kang dam na yang lengen jebi namin tu jebi ne do par je ma chu mo ge so chojer jebi mo le se de bi sha ge ni ko lo on je je sam ma nyo de ro par chi ge lo.
So then the second verse back to the prayer is as a result of our negative karma, whenever we suffer from illness, malevolent spirits and obstacles, warfare and violence, famine and starvation, then remember your promise that even simply to think of you will immediately dissolve all such suffering. O Lord Orgyen, we implore you from the depths of our hearts, grant your blessings so that all our wishes be quickly fulfilled.
다치 에네 제비 나밍게 틀었대니 다다당가라 좀 동할 때서도 비고요레스 다당고디 조데 링엔다 근데 레제 나밍 소소가 가지고 레라라리게 받대 땡요레스.
So what is this verse here showing us? What's being taught here when we're saying this prayer? What's first being said is as a result of our negative karma whenever we suffer. So that's showing us that whatever suffering, whatever difficulties we're encountering now are a result of our own negative actions from the past. So like, for example, if we had some kind of illness, first we need to recognize what is causing that illness. And then once we know what the cause of the illness is, we need to know the antidote, how to apply the antidote to that. And so now, whatever kind of sufferings there are in this world, like sufferings of illnesses, harm from spirits, wars and disputes, famine, and so forth, however many there are, those are all coming as a result of our karma and of our collective karma. And so then when we have all of these kind of sufferings that are coming as a result of the power of our own negative actions, if we want to eliminate those, then we need to apply the antidote to whatever it is that was causing that. And so that's what it's talking about in this section of the prayer. And so what is the antidote is shown in the next verse, which says, to practice devotion, discipline, and generosity, to free the mind through hearing the Dharma, and to have dignity, self-control, and discriminating awareness. Make these 7 noble human qualities fill the hearts and minds of all sentient beings, and so bring peace and happiness to the world. Grant your blessing so that all our wishes be quickly fulfilled.
ene ta nga zu pe na ene den ji nga zo ene ta digi na ni ji ta timu ma yen bi ene ta nga zu ji ene pangpin norden seng de wa pangpin norden seng de ene ta norden bote ta semje ta ji semje su de jula ene ji nga ra zo shu ba yin na ta de la semje 강사 대당 때라 대화도 토브로고요.
And so what's being discussed here is a list of qualities that we call the 7 noble qualities or the 7 Arya qualities. And so in whatever kind of being there is, if these 7 qualities, infuse or, integrate with their mind stream, that person or that being will attain happiness and comfort.
다 대답을 심지어 담지 줄을 쇼바이나 되는 지대 담지 아니 대지당 되는 빠져서 아니 동화다 아니 동화다 자시 아니 대지다 대바이 차롱요.
And so if those 7 qualities enter in the mind streams of all of these beings, then the whole world will be freed from suffering and will be endowed with happiness and comfort.
제가 다니바다 심지어 담지 줄라 Any type of Palpin Nordinbo. Any Nordinbo, Sanjadam, Jula Shomi. Any Jibadam, Shavata, Devata. Any Dana, you could make up the Tato. That's a make up the Pema, Tato, Devata, Jua. Then solo city that so
And so that's why this 3rd verse here is making this prayer to grant this blessing so that all of these 7 noble human qualities fill the hearts and minds of all sentient beings and so bring peace and happiness to the world. Because if these 7 noble qualities enter the mind streams of the beings in this world, then that's going to make peace in the world, happiness and comfort in the world, both in terms of all of these beings gaining a temporary benefit and as well as ultimately gaining the ultimate state of bliss. So we make such a prayer to please bring this about.
That's all. That Korean Sena, that in Pangpin Nordu, that Nori, that is what I'm thinking. Any touching at any Nikab Jitricing at any that Sosuguchi Dunga Sera, Ale Kabocharo. This all Pechayanata, any Mejela Tatangaran Suguchi, any Jorwata. Any tendency to any Panjola Sopa Yonayang, the Tamjiki, then came around to any Rigdzin Nasa, same Dongar. Any tenor any set to Mandola, Nika Kangarism Jail, then it changed Selma top of the discharge.
And so these are called 7 noble qualities, but they're technically, the name is called 7 noble riches or 7 noble aspects of wealth, noble wealth. And so why are these called wealth and what makes them different than ordinary wealth? And so, ordinary wealth, for example, just like financial wealth, even in the immediate sense, isn't really able to eliminate people's suffering. So think about people who have a lot of wealth. They're still, by the power of that wealth, not able to overcome either their physical ailments nor their mental discomforts and sufferings. And so it's difficult for ordinary wealth to even bring about or to even overcome one's immediate difficulties or problems.
Pero any data with the Sultan Kita, Pedicus, any pumping Norse and a Candice Orson, Penachitan, Getantic, and Biggie, any Dawichin, the Tangoma, the Jeffo de Solina, any Jesse Mochi, not doing sing it, any Tada, ERS, color mochi, order mochi, tomorrow mochi, lumber mochi, lambo mochi, amjor mochi, marble mochi, senator, Master. And
so we have this list of these 7 noble wealths or 7-fold noble wealth, amongst which we have qualities such as faith, discipline, generosity, and so forth. And so those are called, noble wealth. But we also have a list of what we call the 7 royal aspects of wealth, which are, the precious wheel, the precious jewel, the precious consort, the precious horse, the precious general, and so forth, which were kind of these accoutrements to what we call, a wheel-turning king, a great king of ancient times.
Any this any Maran to Pena, any Homaya, any Jitsu Mularebalaya, this jeje any da kaje any biology da pate the da any jabu tracing saiwa. The reject the ya change goyon the da chara any da korang jigma any change goyon da chara the 샤피제지 고인살 되는 되게다 고속다 배는 잘못돼 얘네 배 고속 교환한다고 하던데 높지 뭐 유지를 해서 저런 데까지 많이 해라 지금 말해라고 쓰니까 그래서 근데 좀 말하는 내 집들이 나는 거야 아니 말을 베게트리 있었어 야스게 아 집에 야스다라고 말했어 말을 베게트리 양와이나 내가 심한 상식
And so Milarepa, he sent a letter to one king of Nepal, and so through one of the attendants. And so this is a time when this king was a very powerful king, and everyone was subject to his commands, his power. And so he had sent out, some commands, and it was inappropriate or not allowed to not implement whatever this command was. And Milarepa sent a reply back with an attendant. And he said to this king, my state of royalty or my royal power, my royal qualities are different than yours. If you have my royal qualities, then you will attain that stable state of bliss, both in this lifetime and in future lifetimes.
Oh yeah, that thing that we getting on the Yandal get it over the Kandayata, Tela Pena, the Nissimari, the Nissimari, Penatata, the Jassy, not to the Penatini, that Jabon Road Jelena, and it popped you call your ass, that call you down with your calling Jabot, who child college in Namudas. And
so when Milarepa was explaining this, he was applying his qualities of his idea of royalty or his, noble qualities to these attributes of the king, these accoutrements of the king. And so like the king as a symbol of their power, they had they would carry with them this wheel. And so Milarepa said that faith is like that wheel of the king. And when we say faith here, we're not talking about a blind faith or an idiot's faith of just following after what other people say, but it is a faith that is born of the conviction of knowing the real reasons for having such faith, or the real reasons for believing in something. And so if you have that kind of faith, then you will strive towards virtuous activities both day and night. And so if you are engaged in virtuous actions, then as a result of that, you will attain happiness and comfort both in the immediate sense as well as ultimately. And so then similarly, following in that line, discipline is like the precious queen, which is one of the other royal accoutrements. So Milarepa was applying this, connecting this with the six perfections. And so then discipline is like the fertile ground from which everything can arise. So there's a quote from Nagarjuna that says that, discipline is like the fertile ground which nourishes both the animate and inanimate, something like that. So similarly, the way that this is similar to the royal prince or the royal queen, or the royal queen, the second of those qualities, which is the precious queen. So if the king does not have a queen, then his monarchy will fail. He will not be able to continue his royal line. And so there's no, that is the source of that royal power. And so if we have that discipline, and so that discipline covers a few categories. So we can talk about discipline in terms of not harming others, the discipline of accomplishing the welfare of others, of helping others, the discipline of striving in or increasing the power of virtue. And if you have those, if you have that discipline of not harming others, if you have the discipline of helping others, then there's no longer any reason or that you would ever engage in any warfare, dispute, and so forth. So discipline, therefore, is that source of great qualities, and it's likened again to the queen, the precious queen. And so then wisdom, or discriminating awareness, wisdom then is like the precious jewel. And so when we use that term precious jewel, that always means a wish fulfilling jewel, but it's just called the precious jewel, the technical term. So the reason why wisdom is like that is if you have this wisdom, if you have this discriminating awareness, then you'll be able to accomplish the temporary and ultimate welfare both of yourself and others. So also for a king, their ministers are very important, aren't they? And so then now meditative concentration is like the minister. And so if a king doesn't have some sharp, some clever and capable ministers, then he's going to lose his power. He's not going to be able to accomplish his goals. And so then like a king with this skilled minister, if they have that, then both his, outer world, like the outer management of his kingdom, and the inner world of his kingdom, as far as, maintaining and increasing his power and wealth and so forth, will be able to be accomplished. If you have meditative concentration, then your accumulations, your power of your merit and wisdom will automatically increase. And so when we say meditative concentration, we're talking about a peaceful or pacified state of mind, which is in this single pointed state of samadhi.
야보 딱 뭐만 야보 뭐만 딱 뭐만 야보도 solamente 남부다 들여서 말다 남부를 못해 남는 데가 뭐만 됐다 거기서 때문에 다 시험 받을 때부터 좀 이상 한 번씩 쉬고 그러었어.
And so now we have this quality of dignity, and dignity is said to be like the precious elephant. So the elephant is, is the thing that the king would ride the elephant, right? It was like his vehicle. So these days, kings don't ride on elephants, but those days, they didn't have airplanes or anything. So maybe for a modern example, we should say, that dignity is like an airplane, the king's airplane. So, yeah. But anyway, in these ancient times, the king would ride an elephant. So Air Force One. Yeah. Kempa Namchak said that it's like Air Force One. No.
Then better just a Kosota, so jig and jig the chair, Matobia, Kosopen, any Bajan road, the Kosotron, Kosota, but just mix it and take it to us and give it to us.
So, kings or presidents of countries, they have their own particular types of, vehicles, airplanes, and so forth that no one else is allowed to use. So it's like that.
And then, so do sing at the catching was shoot it. So do Mena. Shirab European Togumare. Then someday European Togo, part of the Chipato, Karina. What journey did it? Something go to go it. And it Tadangara took Shirab in the turn to go over it, and it better just at Kimbaton to go over it, Zabakon, something. Tom Chilla, then it got so little troll at Tamchiku. Then they caught that you get the double race. Compared to any. Oh, dang us. No, push it over this.
And so, I did tell you, Maria.
Some tell you.
And indeed, that they take syndrome of some sort of the touch or one.
Ale. Oh, that's Lambo, Lambo, the Shomba.
No.
Lambo, the Shomba in the debate, Shomba Jaguar.
That's
what they go that, even with Shomba wanted it.
And indeed, that they Sundry Shega.
Sundry,
no. I need to tell you the chick Shomba and Rabo the Chikari.
That's the Tribute the unity because of that, any that job, Yabu, Karasa Juba to get you once a sugar, trio jagger, then by your Diana, then by your Chango Yore. Then it goes over the Jazzer any better door, this is pretty much young children.
That's it. And so if you have that quality of dignity, then you won't lie to people, you won't deceive people. You'll speak honestly and with integrity, and you won't have any reason to.
No, it's hard.
Someone has their microphone.
Quá rồi heo may.
What? You have to can you all mute yourself? We can hear you. Okay.
That's the reason.
Oh, to do that.
Then, young any penetration. That any thing at the language,
No.
Any young any did that's only the young that job was so young because any Tamjo Rinpoche. That the Tamjo Rinpoche is better. When we look at the Tamjo, so you get a man about the corner, kind of don't you get a share of that.
And so next is it said that diligence is like the supreme horse. And so when we use the word supreme horse, we're talking about a particular thing. In the histories, they talk about this being a particular kind of horse. It's different than other horses that can fly in the air. But anyway, it's very similar to what we just discussed.
대체 도로 앞에는 당나라 좀 땡겨들 공투거래 저런 송투거래 때는 다 배출이 되거든. 얘네 다 탐지기들 바로도 집에 다 나보 탐지기 얘나 탐지기 참아도 다 조정되는.
And so this power, this quality of diligence is something which is like a helper to all of those 6 perfections. So, without that, then you can't practice wisdom or meditative concentration or anything. It's something which accompanies and is a helper to all of those other practices. If you want to practice giving, generosity, you need diligence. If you're going to practice patience, you need diligence. If you're going to practice meditative concentration, you need it. If you're going to practice wisdom, you need it. So it's something which accompanies and is a helper to all other practices. And so then there's another teacher named Lopong Pao, and he makes his own kind of set of associations. And so he says that that the supreme horse is like self-control. And so then Milarepa continues saying that if you have this quality of diligence, then you will be victorious over this, battle with the emotions, with the afflictive emotions and thoughts. And so you won't fall under their powers, but you will recognize their selfless true reality, their true nature. And so then similarly, the next of these qualities is the quality of hearing the Dharma. So like when we talk about hearing, we're talking about hearing in terms of that process of hearing, contemplation, and meditation. So essentially we're talking firstly here about that process of hearing and contemplation or studying the Dharma. So a king has a general, and that general will go and eliminate his enemies. And so our hearing the Dharma, our study of the Dharma is like the king's general, war general. So that hearing the Dharma will eliminate the darkness of our ignorance. And will also similarly increase the power of our wisdom or our discriminating awareness. And so then that hearing the Dharma will defeat our enemies of a lack of realization or a misunderstanding or misperception of reality or the teachings. And when those have been eliminated, then it will lead to an increase or a development in our wisdom, our discriminating awareness, our primordial wisdom, in terms of both the Dharma of scripture and realization. And so from one side, when we're talking about this process of study or hearing and contemplation, contemplation in one way also can be applied to or can be considered an aspect of meditative concentration.
그래서 양 호흡 빠오게 되네 맞죠 에네 가르스 전에 되니 야도스나 에네 다당 가서 가르스나 에네 다다 가르스 다 공화여와 공화 배는 공화 때는 롬보를 뭐지라고 지니 야도와 쌈데데 다 틀섬이데 에네 다 더나 직전에 에네 공화 때는 롬보를 뭐지 Then Jima Goma. The Goma is a Jima Goma. Benatini Jimagi, Takaran Super any Ram Nikit, Ton Dogre, Sonomishi, Toto Dogres, and the day, young Ben any Misegi to Siavaina, then Tebe young Beji part of the Chibitan, Tamaya, something that they are those.
And so Lopam Powell also applies this example a little bit differently in that he says that the precious minister, the king's minister, is like generosity. And then puts the practices of hearing the Dharma, hearing and contemplation applies into a different example. But anyway, if we have that, just like the minister can accomplish all of the needs and goals of the king, if we practice generosity, then that practice of generosity itself will accomplish both our own goals and the goals for ourselves and others, and will lead to the perfection of the accumulations of merit and wisdom.
Lama Tambadam, the so any Songo
And so, in that way, there are these explanations from these great and holy lamas, which take these seven noble qualities or seven noble riches and apply them and bring them together with the understandings of the six perfections and the seven noble accoutrement, or the seven symbols of royalty. And I think that's very nice explanation and very accurate. And so, so in this particular text, it was talking about the six perfections together with these seven noble riches. It didn't specify the practice of the perfection of patience, but I think we could apply patience, and it would be appropriate to do so, to talk about patience as an aspect of dignity. So if we think about an elephant, elephants are extremely powerful and can carry anything, right? And so, like that elephant that can carry anything, that's kind of what this practice of patient forbearance is, that you can take on any burden. You can carry the burden of difficulties that happen. You can carry the burden of people treating you in a way that you feel is unjust. You can carry the burden of things not working out the way you intended them. And so, if you have that patience, then you also have dignity, right?
그래서 다 노르드나 되는 다 말하는 쪽을 빼는 지멜링 삐게다 다 가르쳐 원잖아. 다 말하는 대직 된 고위여나 다 대직 싸워 심지어 남게 줄라. 근데 파빈 노르드 다 노르드에서 다 말하는 노르드 지다가 노르만 고위여와. 다 지금 노르 탐지게 나오니. 다 지금 가서 배다 파빈 노르에서.
So what is Jigme Lingpa talking about here? What's the point? So he's saying that if we want beings to have this source, this foundation or source of happiness and comfort, then they need to have these 7 noble riches. So generally speaking, there are lots of kinds of riches, many aspects of wealth that we could talk about, but that's, these are called noble wealth, noble riches, because with them, these form the foundation or the root of happiness. Like, for example, there's another saying that says, amongst all riches, contentment is the supreme one.
말하는 너치 동과 꼭 부수조직은 축가세 로나야 강제요 말에 근데 대대 찍과래 근데 son상 근데 다른 말하는 속에더니 너를 탐식은 나오더니 너는 군제 나오니 조시 조소 맞지 요랬어 근데 대답은 근데 너를 탐식은 나오니 근데 다시 말하서 파피 너를 때 요나 되게 애네 다른 말하는 속에 애네 다 셈은 근데 가도 요나 뒤서로 요나요 다 때려 지금 가서 내가 때 아니 해주면 봐지 와.
And so, a person who is content, a person with contentment, they're always rich. No matter what they have or don't have, they're still rich. But without contentment, even someone who, no matter how much they have, then they always feel impoverished. They are always thinking they don't have enough. And it's just like if you took a cup and turned it upside down and tried to pour water in it, it will never be filled up. And so just like that, someone who doesn't have contentment, no matter how much they have, they never feel content with that. They never feel fulfilled by that. And so that's why it's said then that the supreme wealth or the supreme richness is the richness of contentment. And so now, there just generally speaking, as Rinpoche said before, there are many kinds of wealth, many kinds of riches. But amongst those, the reason why these are called the noble riches is because no matter who has them, however and whenever they have them, then they're going to have, that person is going to have, is going to gain or is going to have happiness and contentment.
다 너를 대탕 개정들이 쪼다당 사람 속에 가리래 세나 땅 사람 속에 쪼다 애니 맞수 애니 다 토비야 때 가와나 토고서 땅 사람 쪼다더니 샘대라 땅 사람 속에 집 애니 다 대라고 배나 대봐 애니 저요 뭐자 Ini sudah akan ini tak kongwang kombat lah sebab apa nak tetap jiwa bayi nas tak tiga meter ini kang kang yang yang cik ini mah ini cipu cona yang dah tupu cona yang dah kangen kare cona yang ini tetap penang orang tu hing rawa cik ini tang hing rawa penang datang orang syukur rawa Yeah, the good me about the tapa ko tingel de to tawchi ni ni ka bro kina ni timboda temboda ni de wo yo.
And so we can gain these qualities in our own minds. And so all of these qualities of faith, discipline, generosity, hearing the Dharma, dignity, self-control, discriminating awareness, all of these are something that we attain in our mind. And whoever has those, then whatever the situation may be, whether they're in a fortunate, kind of pleasant situation or unpleasant situation, whatever kind of difficulties they may encounter, then just like, a pine tree that without any distinction between winter and summer maintains its brilliant green hue, then we will be able to, if we have these 7 qualities, then we'll be able to, maintain our contentment. We'll be able to maintain our happiness and comfort, no matter what the situation may be.
아니 다 때문에 나랑 저기 아니 니가 그치야 아니 저와라고 돼서 답변은 지게비 노트 속에서 양직 소소지 야지 야 노르고 때 양직 톱지 주고차 되는 배대 차오나 양 랑아야 아니 다 맞을지지 아니 배대니 랑가야들이 다 잡아서 걸어 들으시더니 와서 맞을때서 야팔 근데 이제 참아는 니 규제하다 최소제야 돼 양제제 기차고.
So without these noble riches, then if in the immediate situation we do gain some wealth, we become rich, then that can lead to us becoming very proud of ourselves, becoming very arrogant and condescending of others, and lead to us being condescending or aggressive or to ignoring others and so forth.
전에 다양 되는 나라 속 가서 연어요. 얘네 되게 렌저지지면도 와. 다양 되라 대세계야. 얘네 거줘야 배는 송야고도 배야고도. 근데 대세계 되는 다 나라 속 배는 얘네요. 너 가세요 받으세요 이게 감초요 뭐와 용어도 드라마와 용어도 되네 배도 고마 뭐와 용어도 되게 가서 얘네 드레스셔도 다대야 뭐도 들어도.
And then, if we have this great wealth, then, for most of us, it's never enough. It's not enough just to have it. We also need to protect it. We need to try and increase it. And, when we have more, then there are more situations, more legal disputes, more enemies, more people trying to steal from us and so forth. So the more we have, the more enemies we gain.
되네 답변도 주세요. 나랑 저 선바들 기부하다 대화지나 되네 바지에 되네 양 용약가라 커버려도 되네 하람 되네 나랑 저게 아니 인생에 봐 되네 가서 노트를 삼는 되네 되게 털 되네 배도 주세요. 아니 가서 배주세요. 하람 칼라르지 세바이나 되세요. 되네 나랑 좀마 들을 얘기가 되네 레비 되네 제로미도.
And so if you had that wealth, but you were able just to be happy about it and just be comfortable and happy with it, that would be fine. But I think that's pretty difficult for that to happen because, it's like you get caught up day and night thinking about that situation, thinking about your finances. And, even if you try and just sit down and relax and have a meal, then just in the middle of your meal, you might get 4 or 5 phone calls that you don't even get the opportunity just to relax for that amount of time.
아니 양아랑 주변에 가시 야보도 앞에는 다시 주고 있나요? 답에 지금아랑 주변 잠불랭의 야 지금 앞에는 강사 가시 배에서 주고 가시들이 여러 앞에 들린 거죠. 아니 망망방 되는 이 지금 앞에 지금 잠불랭의 배도 지행에 들리기다 가서 고소되는 데 도와드려. 들리러 있는데요. 야보도 왔어.
And there are, of course, some wealthy people who do a lot of charitable work and helping in the world, and so that's great if we have those kinds of wealthy people.
나 때문에 근데 다 양반을 가서 그래서 지금 도시체도 가서 양 주고 가서는 샘대 강림해 봤지. 얘네 거 자전대 마마로 고골대 마마다. 근데 참 맞더니 뇽다 짱짱은 노선 뜻뜻해서 있는데 내 노르되게 나라서 구지대다 미열대 때라 나도 그 대화다 얘네 진보용이야 대화용이야 네 갑다 되니 배드께서 타도다 얘네
So without that, otherwise, then if we're just wealthy and it never seems like enough, we never feel like it's enough. And it just leads us to getting into, becoming more dishonest, becoming more deceptive to others, and just leads us into more difficulties and problems and disputes. Then we're not getting what we ever wanted from this wealth in the first place. You want it because you think it's going to make you happy. You think it's going to make you content or stable. And so you think that whether it's just in the immediate sense right now, or ultimately you think that wealth is going to bring you happiness and contentment. But if it doesn't, then it's, then what was the point? And so then Jigme Lingpa then addresses, talks about then what is the real source of this happiness. And so that is, covered in this prayer, in praying for the elimination of any kind of adverse obstacles and the, accomplishment or the gaining of any kind of harmonious or supportive circumstances, any kind of resources and so forth. And that's what we all need. That's what we all want. That's what we all hope for. None of us like difficult circumstances. All of us want happiness and comfort in the circumstances that support that. And so particularly, what Jigme Lingpa is instructing here is that, if we want those circumstances, if we want all of that, then we need to aspire to bring about the causes that are going to bring about those results. And so if the causes are in place, then even if we don't wish for it, even if we don't hope or pray for it, the result will still come. But if the causes are not in place for that resultant state of happiness, comfort, and so forth, then no matter how much we pray, it's not going to get us anywhere. We're not going to attain the result merely by praying if we don't actually implement the causes, if we don't develop those causes. And so we're aspiring for bringing about the causes so that we can get the results. And so like kids, I've seen kids before, they touch the fire and they don't understand that it's the fire that's burning them. They don't understand how to just let go of the burning stick or something. They just hold onto it tighter and it burns them more. So they don't understand that they just need to throw it away. Okay. So the specific circumstance I was mentioning right now is that I saw someone who was smoking a cigarette. And so he threw the cigarette down on the ground and the kid picked up the cigarette. He didn't understand that fire was going to burn him, but he was picking it up thinking, probably thinking that the kid was maybe thinking to pick it up and try and smoke it. But anyway, he picks it up and doesn't understand that it's burning his hand and just keeps holding on to it while he's crying and shaking his hand around.
동아리 째고요나 동아리 째비기 줄 레잉에 받아서 받창고도 내가 중국이요나 내가 되네 디게다 동아리 찌지게 되네 바치서 레잉에 맞춰서 유파 장을 쇼서 그러잖아. 대화 고고요나 대화 찌비기 주 돼서 담기더니 다 돼서 담기더니 야 얘는 짐바리 쇼서 돼.
And so what Jigme Lingpa is saying here then is that, if you want to cut off your suffering, then you need to, we're praying then to the cause of that. What's going to cause the elimination of suffering? It's going to be to cut off what is causing that suffering, which is our negative actions, our unvirtuous actions. And so we're praying then to stop the negative actions so that we will not have to experience the negative results of that, the suffering results of that. And if we want to gain and develop that happiness, then we need to, bring about those causes which are going to bring about that happiness. So he's, making a prayer, like the prayer is to cut off the negative karma, which is causing the suffering, and to grasp onto those 7 qualities, which are the causes for that happiness.
다 대답을 빼는데 다 가지고 지 동아리 담게 와. 다 빼지를 때다 에네 대서 담게 다지 에네 년부가 똑죠. 되네 빼. 다 방비 노르도 못 이제 담게 줄을 쇼케니. 되네 지대 네가 없어 되네 빼지를 다 지땡게 에네 강한 내도 동안 문제제 송바다 내가 그러 강한 내도 동안 문제제 용부도 나제도 제바다 매직 견자 남통기과 소승에 내가 지 되네 이 판단도 그 내가 그서 다 치마세로와 되네 치마세도 가서 다 나도야 치마 진짜 되네 답을 줘서 나랑 좀 왼로 가라 수법 되네 가서 애네 아니 대탐지 답을 줘서 애네 라수 되네 동아리 탐지 애니 다 마조야 애니 다 대체를 당가서 배나 애니 부선 소비게 되니 저도 탐지 터버쇼스 내가 때니 되니 가서 배디지를 내갑다 내가 win지과 탐지 되니 타와다 되니 배디지를 애니 타소고 돼요 되니 배디지를 애니야 애니 때도 데비지 다 사게 주고 왔다 되니 가서 터버 Anytime, she love the source, somebody came to the source.
And so then we have this suffering and non-virtues, and the power that can act as an antidote to overcome those are these 7 aspects of noble wealth. If those 7 aspects of noble wealth enter into the mind streams of all beings, then that both their temporary and ultimate goals will be accomplished in terms of eliminating suffering and so forth, gaining happiness and so forth, both in this and in future lives. And so it's talked about here in all of these, when oppressed by illness, suffering, and unwanted circumstances, falling prey to harm from negative forces and punishment from kings and leaders, threatened by fire, water, vicious animals, and journeys of great danger, when this life is spent and death arrives at these times. So all of those first list of things are all like temporary or immediate situations of this lifetime. So praying for protection or for to be liberated from all of these kind of immediate dangers. And then when death arrives, then that's leading into the benefits and elimination of suffering and happiness and so forth for future existences, for what lies beyond. And so this is, then praying for the blessing so that all our wishes, those wishes being for the immediate, in the immediate circumstances, like being freed from any kind of immediate kinds of circumstances of danger, sufferings, and so forth. And ultimately our wishes, which are the stable and, permanent happiness of Buddhahood.
동화를 만들어봐도 대왕정에는 다 탐지배는 다 나랑 좀 채와 비직 나랑 다 야, 애니 다음에 첨보네 다 배드기를 라마레 대나기 다 나랑 좀 봉보레 다 대나기 베니스 생생라 소바네 다 중국의 세계 배는 바브스 아승이죠. 근데 탐지 참아 대왕정에는 동화 만들기 참아 기관이 되어요.
And so to summarize, then there's not a single being who wishes to suffer, and everyone wishes for happiness. So from the greatest, like more, influential or powerful beings, like, lamas, politicians, presidents, and so forth, down to the most small and tiny insects and so forth, they're all the same in wishing for happiness and not wanting suffering.
이나양 당하는 저거 대화도 그냥 또 랑게 대화 드라들 좀 세네 나 데비게 아니 주대 뭐만 시바래 가지고 데비게 미과티 대화랑가 드루트티 동안 그 짱짱 드롭 라네 대다 미과티 시켜로 가래.
And so, but even though we wish for happiness, we destroy its causes as if they were our very enemies. And so we really wish for, our real intent, our real ambition is for that happiness, but we don't know its causes. And so we just keep on engaging in the causes for suffering because we don't understand what the causes of suffering are.
뭐야, 데니송가 데니다 나란 저거 얘네 답변은 아니 대양 답변 나란 쪽에 얘네 다 나도 탐지기 줄라. 얘네 딱 나랑 조금은 그 대비기 줘. 얘네 답변은 다다 망보지 시에도 마실 때 답기다 간다 논러버지 두바이나. 얘네 다 삼바 게도 먹기 싫어라지 토르도와.
And so the cause of all of our happiness, all of our comfort and happiness, we can get into all these aspects or not, but really it depends upon, virtue and non-virtue depend upon whether your intention for whatever action you're going to engage in is virtuous or not.
너나 되네 연팽에 섬나 되니 되네 상지 소거래 나랑조 베네 답변께서 되게 동기네 답변께서는 다 코나 진생기 되네 답변께서 연라야 되네 지다 간세고 되네 다 뭐사매바 텔메비 고네들이 다 지금 알아서 변했어요. 애니 다 뭐게바 장장수는 대가라서 코와라 참소 말해.
And so it is through that altruistic intention to help others that the Buddha attained Buddhahood. And it is the opposite for us, which through always only cherishing ourselves and having no sense of embarrassment, no sense of integrity, we just continue engaging entirely in non-virtue, that we are still stuck in this realm as ordinary sentient beings.
다 너들은 삼바상은 사달라면서 삼방에는 사달라면네 탐지 삼바달라 라리비 다도 삼바상은 로버자 세트링하는 또 제르무지 그들이 송요를.
And so it is then because if your intention is wholesome, then the place that you go and the path that you traverse will also be wholesome. If your intention is unwholesome or negative, then the place that you are will be negative, the path that you travel will be negative. And since everything relies upon that intention, you should always exert yourself in developing that altruistic intention, in that wholesome intention. That's a quote from Jigme Tsongkhapa.
다 노르드나 테네테 가레스 다 강다더니 말한스 얘네 대화다 개화탐지 얘네 다 저들 가레레스나 랑케 장kim지 샘레스.
And so to summarize, the cause of all happiness and all virtue is the mind of bodhicitta.
대대 다 심지담지 줄라다 도도 제와이나 다 거를 뭐지 다 라마 건조 근데 배드기서 때문에 탐진들이 다니 되는 거를 뭐지 다 체리 잡다래서 내가 정말 탐지를 얘는 믿어나 근데 체제들은 아주 다 통지서 해.
And so then what's happening here is that saying that, for all sentient beings then, since there is no, as it says in the prayer, we have nowhere to turn except to you. So you being Guru Rinpoche, the embodiment of all objects of refuge, of all lamas and so forth, that other than you, there's no one who can protect us, no one for us to hope to. So please look upon us, upon all living beings.
대대 되는 나라도 생기한 탐색이 줄라. 장축지 셈을 뭐지? 얘네 다 토바. 얘네 다 장축지 셈을 뭐지? 줄라 제발. 얘네 신gel람제도 소스.
And so then please bless us that all living beings, all sentient beings can attain or can gain that precious mind of bodhicitta.
장축지 셈도 줄라 제발이나 되는 가람 조금 마토다. Any ten I ying at up at the Cesare, any tangaso penetration, any ten I ying Tamata Tangasu, Dramina Yomodo, Neta, Tonga Lasso, Tam, and it's all that Tangaso penetration, any Henu get a Chiba, Choyinza, there's a Samang about the Jula Machibata.
The Tamche Shendu.
Samang about the Jula Machibata.
Bless it. And so then, if that mind of bodhicitta takes root in the mind streams of all beings, then we won't even have those negative thoughts and non-virtuous thoughts that lead to all of these kinds of states of suffering, war, dispute, and so forth. And as a result of that, then in the temporary sense, then we will gain peace in this world. And similarly with that, if we have that altruistic intention in mind, then all of these disturbances, both in our environmental world as well as the disturbances amongst humanity and so forth, won't come to be. If we're not stirring things up, then the natural kind of elements of the world and the natural harmony of beings can naturally fall back into place.
Oh, that is it up at the general any that somebody you're the dropping single of the soul,
and so then what's being said is that if Guru Rinpoche, please fulfill my wishes, look upon us with compassion and fulfill these wishes, quickly fulfill these wishes, that all beings gain this altruistic intention, and that these 7 noble riches enter to their mind streams, and therefore, by the power of that, bring about peace and comfort in this world.
Oh, yes, that ring it in a pageant share you get that so that day, that big, so the big, any, that, what you are did our genita. So one 3 or day, then it among Guru Rinpoche, Nene, Guru Rinpoche, any Tanguri Avio, any 10 like Kandro, to go to it,
So then primarily, when we're making this prayer, I make this prayer, and when we make this prayer, we're praying to Guru Rinpoche together with his consort, together with this ocean-like, collection or gathering of dakas and dakinis.
That's so I'm the Jigme Karasana, Sankia Tamchi, and it Deshi Jigme, and it will give us that source.
And so what we're, wishing for, what we're praying for is for all living beings to gain happiness, comfort, and relief.
And it don't get sour, so Metiba, and he get love the source.
And so also praying that these roots of suffering do not arise again.
야, 다 때는 이게 되네. 다 배드께서 얘네 되지 부선도 받아. 다도 형격도 봐서 땅에 양재도 시행이 왔다. 개지 못하면 놀쳐 양재를 뜨나. 근데 땅에 삼바대야 대인. 얘네 다 배드께서 대딩이 삼바대 녀든 로벌 다다다 삼도 손도 삼바 녀로 마세요. 땅에 삼바대 가래가래 많이 고 녀만이도 다다니도 근데 로바직 다 그러는 거지 채노 다도들이. That's what the meant is.
So I'm repeating myself because this is the important kind of summary of what's happening here. So we're praying for, in the immediate sense, to gain this excellent abundance of happiness and comfort in the immediate sense, and ultimately for all beings to attain enlightenment. And we're praying, as this prayer is called, the prayer that swiftly fulfills all wishes. So Guru Rinpoche, don't do this slowly, like quickly, right now. I'm praying to you to accomplish this.
Oh, la sauce that ring it in the children of death of means. That's so kind of this.
Chitu Dumba Simba Kamsundula.
And the mother today.
The Bopardina, Kimbola. Rela. And so that was the conclusion of today's teachings, and we've just got a few minutes left. And we could take a question if anyone has a question. So you would have to write a question into the chat box because we were not able to promote everyone onto panelists to make your video available.
Rinpoche anh Vũ ơi, mọi người Việt Nam có muốn thỉnh thầy lung lời cầu nguyện Sampanundut thì anh có thể xin thầy được không?
Connection de da charge this chase on ani long de yang chik jorna na sa.
So I'm so because the normal guy here in the long to my country models was some of the robot language in the model was changed to be models to be here in some of the robot they don't all the combat temperature to train was here a person to the northern subject killer. Jigme the Jigme some of the robots and the moment you put the temperature of the matches and orange was fair for the chapter the yellow magical to use the Guru Jenji Sambam Yordan Robert Shingelo Ojerumbochela Sol and Gari participated number of photos to Mongo of the Mango, typical of the Children Samuel Mojana, what then about the Zonjo channel you thought about Tasso Conley of the Nedo Mother. Children rushing Bever and said so along the years.
So Rinpoche just repeated the reading transmission for those of you who, some of you mentioned that your connection got cut off. So.
Oh, that's any Samala, any
Okay, so thank you and good night to everyone. And see you again next time.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Recite the dedication.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche. That's it, delay.
I'm just a one year on the Navy, Rana, Pamsa, Yenjaka, Nanja, Balabu, if it's all in Rova, Chitra Chambada, Kunduzambo, they are taking Jata, up and get years of Dalo, Pinkia, the Ratam, Jerabim was some ship, picture was some chicken, Taga gave it on the Kunyo Sambo, Rub the whole